preference, but I don't know if all Algerians want that.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we hear from Kahlo about Ninja, let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Terrell Mosvani on Louis Soir. What's up?
What's up?
Louis Soir.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the healers.
What's up?
I don't really feel like they changed all that much. Most of the skills we got in Heavensward or in Stormblood weren't really necessary.
For healer, are you talking a specific healer or healers just across the board?
Mostly Astrologian and Scholar. I don't really have a lot of experience.
Scholar didn't change very much.
No, they got the level 70 skill, which runs completely contradictory to their level 60 skill, which you get the Fey gauge at level 70, and it's used for one single skill, which is the level 70 skill.
Yep, for the fairy tether.
Waste of design, in my opinion.
But I really like what's it, fucking excogitation? That's a cool move. Yeah, it lets me DPS more.
Yeah, I like that as a skill, but again, in this game, the healing, we don't need more healing skills in this game just because of the way damage is dealt by bosses and mobs in general. Because it's mostly single target based and very predictable.
Well, so clearly, and clearly they don't want to add DPS skills to healers anymore. So
because they just upgrade the ones we already have. Right. Because in their minds, healers don't need to DPS because the dev team is just completely sitting on the fence and can't decide what they want the healers to do, and I think it's kind of hurting the role as a whole.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. The thing that we keep hearing from the dev team over and over again is we want healers to heal and not DPS, and the thing that we keep hearing from the community again is go fuck yourself. We want to have something. DPS. We want to have something to do besides tossing out heals every once in a while, and it's clear that Square Enix isn't going to up the damage ratio that bosses are putting out or mob packs are putting out because that's going to make the game too hard. So they're stuck in this place of healer is just going to be fucking boring. Like that's like their only answer, and I think that it's a really shitty answer.
Yeah, I just noticed in the chat, I'm not a healers don't need to DPS supporter. If they want me to DPS, then they need to give us skills and opportunities to actually make the DPS interesting, because I don't want to sit around spamming Malefic over and over and over and over again.
I think
it's just as boring as standing around.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, there's got to be like some kind of risk reward factor in there that makes DPS, again, something that, obviously Square Enix wants to try to move healers away from DPS, but either make it a big payoff that you get from trying to do it when you do it so that it feels more satisfying, or, just, I mean, I don't want to say take it away, but make a decision. Square Enix needs to make a decision. And I'm going to say right now, if that decision is stand around a lot more, just make sure that you don't get hit and heal people up to max, that no one who plays this game is going to be satisfied with that, except, I don't know, people who want to watch Netflix while they're leveling a healer. I don't know who that benefits.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Because you're asking, the amount of attention you're asking out of, players who decide to play a healer versus other roles it's going to be disproportionate if you try to de-incentivize doing DPS even more than they've already done.
Yeah, because I've been playing healers pretty much every MMO I've played, and I usually do it because I like to be tested in my skill to keep my party alive, and that really doesn't happen here, barring when you're doing progression. Once you have something on farm, most of your time is spent throwing DPS spells out, and the DPS spells aren't interesting. That's my problem. They either need to make healing take up significantly more time, or they need to make our DPS actually interesting to throw out.
I don't know that increasing the amount of time that healing would take would be terribly satisfactory to anyone, considering one of the more enthusiastic complaints that I hear about FF14 is its global cooldown, right? Like how slow it feels in comparison to other games, which, I mean, we can debate that all we fucking want, but, it exists, and for some people, it makes the game feel very slow and sluggish. And I think the Strife actually put, a really good, a really good theory out there. Is the animation seems to be the thing that Square Enix wants to avoid being affected with the global cooldown. And I mean, I could see that stupid of a justifications coming out of Square Enix. Like, honestly, I could see that nonsensical of a justification coming out of them. But I just, because we have that, I don't think that bumping the pace down of any of the jobs would feel very satisfactory to anyone at this point.
Please don't.
You know what I mean?
Terrible.
I already, when playing this game, tend to get very bored and sleepy because of the amount of patterns and the amount of, I'm doing, it's the same 3 dungeons that I had last week to choose from. And once you know those patterns and once you know what you got to look out for and what you got to have cooldowns up for, and you know what I mean? Like, it becomes very hypnotic. And I think that is due to the, nature of the content, the very structured and patterned nature of the content, and the fact that Square Enix looks at variables or dynamicness, and I don't think that they know how to present it. Like, I don't think that they know how to vary up the gameplay of this game to be able to try to strike at an audience outside of what they've had, for the better part of 4 years. And I think that scares them. I think that's why, somebody had asked towards the beginning of the show, why do we see this continued pattern over and over and over again? I think that's why. I just think that Square Enix is afraid to try something new, because when they do, it ends up diadem, or you know what I mean? Like, and
they're almost snake bitten.
Yeah, and you can only have that happen to you. Like, I guarantee you that Square Enix's confidence in their ability to make new content for specifically FF14 was shaken when Diadem 2.0 came out, and after 2 weeks, no one was doing it.
Oh, yeah. When they got those numbers back and were able to take a look at how many people were actively engaging and saw that, 2 weeks have passed and people are pissed and not enjoying it. Yeah, to fail at an event not once but twice.
Okay, but you know what? I find it really hard to have any sympathy for them, because with the first Diadem failed, I don't think anybody really begrudged them because they were trying something new. But when the second one failed, to say, 2 weeks out, nobody's doing it, you literally put it at the end of an expansion when nobody wants to do it anymore. That is all on them.
Yeah. Tyrell, thanks very much for the call. We appreciate hearing from you and your perspective on healers. We'd love to hear from you about how you're feeling about your job changes between 60 and 70. You can give us a